What's something that is romantic in movies, but creepy in real life? Someone coming home and finding their entire apartment full of flowers when the sender obviously had no legal way to get in. I would honestly be so distraught. Like, someone managed to break into my house, probably in broad daylight, to leave me all these flowers. I may not even know who it was, and at any point in the future they could get in again and either wait for me to come home or break in while I'm there. I'd be tempted to move places or get a really good security system at the least. Having scream fighting matches with your partner constantly because you're both so passionate, like in The Notebook. Like, nah bro, you're just incompatible. That shit ain't cute. Yeah, my husband and I don't really ever fight. I mean, we may disagree with one another or get irritated, but we discuss it like adults, and it doesn't devolve into some dramatic screaming match. The fact that some people have relationships where these passionate matches happen often sounds so exhausting to me. I can count the number of fights I've had with my husband on one hand. We prefer it that way. His brother and Sil, though, good god, they probably need 2 hands to count how many screaming matches they have per week. Who has the energy for that style of passion? Those elaborate plots that trick the other person into falling for you. How do you even trick a person to fall for you if they are not into you? That's never going to work. Yet in movies it always does. And the trick part implies it's lying to or forcing the other person. How is that in any way a healthy base for a relationship of any kind? Casually stalking who they are pursuing, especially if they are a police officer or FBI agent and they just casually look up their interest in the database. This is an actual thing that happens at the NSA approximately 8 times per year. The NSA calls it love-int and anyone engaging in it is promptly fired. Stopping someone's wedding and asking them to be with you. Really? You couldn't shoot your shot before the wedding? It's not a surprise event. You're really going to ember butt of their iron involved and destroy their wedding day when you could have just showed up last Wednesday? Question mark? Or ditching your wedding at the last minute for some woman you only met once. Looking at you. Serendipity. There was a Ben Affleck Sandra Bullock movie in the 90s that I loved because Affleck is trying to get to his wedding and, due to a comedy of errors, falls in with Sandra Bullock on a crazy cross-country trip full of shenanigans. Of course, he gets there and goes in to tell his wife that the wedding is off and he's in love with Bullock. But then, he sees her, remembers why he loves her, and goes through with the wedding. At the time, I thought it was a bullshit ending. In retrospect, I love it because it makes so much more sense and it totally subverts the Hollywood trope. Every male in the entire village always hitting on the one single blue female. Their trains always ran on her schedule. Though, oh, of course, they may be sexual deviants, but they aren't impolite by any means. Smurfette is always treated like the lady she is, never being pressured into more blue sausage than she can handle. Breaking into your crush's house and laying on their bed. Movies. AWW he misses her, that's sweet. Real life, you going to jail. An overdramatic proposal in front of a bunch of strangers. There was a scene in Love, Simon where one of Simon's best friends is subject to a public proposal in front of the entire school, and she then has to suffer the horror of publicly turning him down because she doesn't like him in that way. I sunk down in my chair in the cinema and had to look away. Super cringe. But at least they actually showed how that would play out realistically. I had a guy ask me out in front of 1/3 of the school before one of the 3 lunch blocks, with a huge sign that took multiple people to hold. I cried, which he mistook as happy tears, and assumed we were dating now. I had to super awkwardly let him down once we were alone. Stopping weddings. I attended a wedding in a city hall. The mayor said he's never heard someone say no, but he has already seen people who tried to stop weddings. She got ejected quickly, but it never affected the ceremony. I can't imagine that it didn't affect it whatsoever. Sure, they probably proceeded like normal, but surely the mood was off. Relentlessly pursuing an ex who clearly doesn't want you back. Sorry dude, leaving wine and roses in your ex-girlfriend's car while she's at work isn't cute. It's super creepy and stalkerish. I had an ex do this to me too, only it was left flowers my car while at work. And once he left flowers on my counter at work while I had stepped away, which was super unsettling. I worked retail at the time, but I never saw him. After that he would drive around looking for my car when I was out at night with friends and stare at me from across the bar. He thought it as romantic and sexy. But when a 63 man follows around a 53 woman, it is more terrifying than anything. Or threat of a restraining order from a cop got through to him luckily, though I feel like me telling him to leave me the hell alone should have been enough. When couples are fake dating and trying to convince their family, then the family forces them to kiss in front of everyone to prove their love. No family would ever do this in real life. It's ducking wood. Like, please. Make out in front of Nana and your Uncle Ken. Oh buddy, where I grew up, Hispanic culture, if a boy and girl had any reason simmering, someone would chant BC Bizo Bizo until everyone joined in. Bizo Bizo Bizo. Chasing someone who already said no multiple times. If someone is already in a relationship, trying to break them up. Love at first sight. No, that's just lust and desire. Literally everything in the 50 Shades movies. Accurate every misconception possible about BDSM. But dressed up for horny middle-aged housewives. Apostrophe. If 50 Shades was set on a trailer park, it would be an episode of Criminal Minds. 50 Shades is to BDSM as Game of Thrones is to wedding planning. Extremely old vampires dating 16-year-olds. What We Do in the Shadows, the movie, has a great spin on this one. He's dating a much younger woman. She's in her 80s. Not taking no for an answer. Yes, I love the movie still. But the scene in The Notebook, when Noah literally just dangles from the top of the Ferris wheel and essentially threatens suicide. If someone who has only met a couple times who has a boyfriend won't agree to go out with him is pure insanity. If you don't have a gun to your head, and a gun to your crush's head, then it's not real love. Hanging off a Ferris wheel. Threatening suicide for a date. This comment section taught me several times that you're referring to The Notebook. I did not see the movie. Based on the times I've read comments about The Notebook here, I almost left this thread thinking I've already watched it. Therapists dating or having sex with their patients. Oh, but they have such a deep connection. Apostrophe. No, that's a malpractice lawsuit in the making. All I can think of is Lucifer. But this isn't the only creepy thing in that show. Edit. Why is this gaining many replies? Not that I would say no to replies. Bumping into the same person over and over again. Edit. Whoa. Thanks for the awards and all the comments. Never had this happen before, lol. Okay, this is starting to get weird. First you show up at my house, and now you're showing up at my work. This has to stop. Apostrophe. But we are roommates, and you're my boss. I don't want to hear it. This has to stop. Apostrophe. It's almost a better question to ask what isn't creepy. Nothing. The answer is nothing. This thread is really your time to shine. Stealing their baby brother and taking them to the castle at the center of the labyrinth to eventually turn them into a goblin. I think that movie is pretty good at showing what a toxic relationship can look like. You can be fascinated and afraid of someone at the same time. I ask for so little. Just fear me, love me, do as I say, and I will be your slave. I love this line. Also, random fun fact. Bowie made all the baby noises in Dance Magic Dance because the actual baby noises were to shit. Everything you've wanted, I have done. You asked that the child be taken. I took him. You cowered before me. I was frightening. I have reordered time. I have turned the world upside down. And I done it all for you. I'm exhausted from living up to your expectations. Sending an ogre and a donkey to rescue them from a castle so you can force them to marry you so you can become a king to make up for your small stature. In The Notebook, Ryan Gosling's character literally built a house for his ex-girlfriend a decade after they split, who is now married to somebody else. Imagine if that was real life. Imagine your teenage boyfriend out of the blue just built a house and expected you to move in with him. Creepy AF. They were engaged, not married. Not that it made it okay for her to wait until after she fucked Noah to break up with the other dude. Serenading them at their doorstep laugh. What about using posters to declare your love for your best mate's wife? I mean, Christmas is a time to tell the truth. Ah, yes. The best Christmas song ever written. I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my toes. Love is all aro duckwank bugger shitting butthead and hole. Pursuing someone who is already in a relationship. Hitting on a client or customer. In movies the employee who does that is often charming and good looking, and it is reciprocated. In real life it is a fast way to get fired. Breaking through airport security to profess your love. Have fun getting tased and sent to prison, jackass. That honestly depends on when the movie was made or set. If it was written or set before the terrorist attack on the World Trade Centers, airport security was lax enough that running to meet people as they were boarding was perfectly legal. Maybe more disgusting than creepy, but having spontaneous sex than just putting their clothes back on and going about their day without even cleaning themselves up. Oh boy. I worked with a waitress whose BF would cream pie her before work like 3 days a week. How do I know, you ask? Because she would brag about it to staff and customers! Exclamation mark. And how much she loved walking around in soggy panties because it made her think of him. How the duck did she bring that up to customers? Like, how do you seg into that? Here's your coffee. Apostrophe. Can I get some cream with that? Please? Apostrophe. You sure can. On that topic. My BF. Apostrophe. Turning up at your door with flowers. I once had a chap do this to me. I'd cancelled the first date as I got a creepy vibe from him. He stalked me online. Found my address. Drove 3 hours. And turned up with a dozen red roses. Luckily I got a family member to answer the door and say I wasn't there, as he texted me half an hour before to ask whether I was home. I later let him know that this was not okay. I once was on a first date with this girl and this ex of hers asked her what she was up to. Since it was just the first date, she said she was with a friend. He asked if she wanted to be with her friend or get some dick. Not kidding. She says him, hoping for both tonight. Figuring he would get the hint, and told him to not come as she wasn't interested. This motherfucker shows up the next day at her house, which I was still at for obvious reasons, with a bunch of roses. Most awkward door I have ever answered. Fastest door I have ever slammed. P good sex though 8/10. Pick you up a date. More specifically, they meet for the first time, have a connection. He suggests dinner. She's charmed. Then he says pick you up a date, and then they part ways. No phone number, no address. Sometimes no agreement. But sure, it's a date and they're at the restaurant next scene, so why not? Serenading someone in general without breaking eye contact. Yeah, the editing makes it look good and all. But in reality it's more of a mix of creepy, awkward, and altogether wishing the moment was over. Hugh Grant. He was ducking great in The Gentleman. He plays a completely different character than his rom-com stuff. I highly recommend you watch it, especially if you like Guy Ritchie movies. Forced kisses to shut up. My guy. She's being emotional and trying to work through her feelings, and all you do is claim her lips. No, I learned this the hard way. Got a slap for it. It was the day I absolutely stopped using movies to judge a relationship. Better late than never, which puts you a step ahead of so many other people who just won't get that through their head. Staring at you while you sleep. Looking at you, Edward Cullen. You creepy budson of a bitch. Trying to get your mum and dad to fall in love at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance, but your mother ends up with the hots for you, all while trying to generate 121 gigawatts while driving at 88 miles per hour. To be fair, I had no idea my mom was so goddamn thirsty when she was younger. I guess I'd better start manipulating her and my dad into growing up to be more successful adults so I can have that truck I like. When people talk like really close to each other's faces, like 2 inches apart, and their breath probably stinks. I should not have eaten all those babies just before my first date. I don't like sand. It's all coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. I killed them. Not just the men, but the women and the children, too. Not a movie, but I think it's relevant. Those manga/anime where the sexually dominant person practically rapes/assaults the other person as they keep saying no, but seemingly enjoy the attention and develop feelings for them. After the romantic/sexual act they just get embarrassed or slightly mad, which is portrayed in a cute way. but never traumatized or ending up thinking that was ducking wrong. Apostrophe. As a child/teen I used to come across those often. I'm glad they didn't end up giving me the wrong idea about consent and love/sex when I grew old enough to have my own sexual partners. I mean, they definitely glorified that tsundere stereotype, and in that sense I think it definitely negatively affected my relationships in my teenage years. But luckily nothing immoral when it came to sex. I don't read/watch romantic anime/manga much lately, but I hope there's less of that creepiness in the more recent works. I think I have seen a change, but I'm not sure. Don't even get me started on shit like rape and lolly being actual genres. I needed this thread between the ages of 14 to 18. I tried so hard with best intentions and got nowhere. Then I stopped trying for a year and met the wife. It is way too funny reading this in a way that implies that there is only one wife in the world. You meet her, and now we have to wait until your fling is over, as there is no second wife. Social interaction. Ugh, so creepy. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe for more videos.